pray. Father, Mother God, we give thanks for this opportunity to be aware of your presence in this moment. We breathe in your love. We breathe out your love. As we see your love flowing through us, from your heart into the world, through us, we are lifted. We are transformed. We are refreshed and vitalized. And for this opportunity to practice the presence, we give thanks. And so it is that together we say, Amen. Well, what is our why? We've had several weeks here where we've been talking about this process of coming into a realization of our experience and where we've come from. Several weeks ago, we had a talk that was Remember When. And the intention of that talk was to remind you of the time prior to your having this experience of Unity's teachings and what that experience was like, how you encountered your relationships, how you encountered the events in your life, and how you responded to those. And then last week we talked about what is your why, and I made the point that our why, each of our why, is at the intersection of our beliefs and our passions. And when we are willing to look at our beliefs and our assumptions, when we are willing to articulate our passions, we are able to come into a realization of why we are who we are. Why do we do what we do? Why do we show up? Why do we get up? And why do we encounter? And how those encounters unfold really depends upon our why. If we don't know our why, then what we do is not nearly as impactful. It's not nearly as transformative. But we are here to be a transforming agent in the world. We look at the events of this week. We see the shooting that occurred at the community college in Oregon. And we look upon that and we say, how in the world can anyone choose to do that to anyone else? What is going through their mind? I suggest to you that one thing that that person did not understand is his why. He didn't understand why he was here. And it wasn't to maim and kill. His why was something different. And he was unaware of it. And it's not to say that our ignorance or our avoidance of our why is going to lead us to that. That's not my point. My point is that our getting up in the morning is much more arduous. Our encountering the difficult relationships are much more arduous. Our identification of our priorities and what we do is much more difficult if we don't understand our why. So last week I asked you to write down your beliefs and to write down your passions. Did anyone do that? I mean, you're not used to having homework assignments. I realize that. And I didn't say that I was going to be grading it, so I can understand why you didn't do it. But identifying your beliefs, including your assumptions, and your passions is an important step in understanding fully why you are here. Not here Sunday morning, but why you are walking this planet. Why you have been chosen to be incarnated in this place, in this time. So, our why is, our individual whys are important, and our community why is important. When we look at the beliefs of this community, it's difficult to say, well, these are our beliefs, right? But you come here, you receive these teachings, and the teachings are based upon a set of beliefs. And the set of beliefs are these, the 5 pillars of faith. As I said last week, these 5 pillars of faith were actually articulated after the passing of Charles Fillmore, with the desire to ensure that the essence of Charles and Myrtle's teachings, Charles and Myrtle being the co-founders of Unity, to ensure that the teachings of Charles and Myrtle Fillmore had some persistence, not just in the books, because frankly, Charles' books are a little bit difficult to get through. That's my experience anyway. You may find them absolutely eloquent and fluent. I don't have that experience. But nonetheless, these are the distilled teachings that there is one power and one presence, and that one power and one presence is always good and always everywhere present. Omnipresence. There is that divine spark that is in each and every one of us, and we can choose to express that or not. And then the thoughts that we hold in mind manifest in our experience. So those are the 3 basic beliefs that we have. There's the premise, the proposition, and the process. So if we look at those as being the foundation of our beliefs here in this community, then the question becomes, what is our community's passion? I received a text from Jim Browning, and Jim had volunteered at a project at the Arvada Covenant Church. You may be familiar with the Arvada Covenant Church. It's over on Ward Road and south of 58th, about 56th. Fairly good-sized community. But here recently, they just had a Convoy of Hope project. And they filled 10,000 bags destined for 10,000 people. What a project. And in my mind, I say, way to go, Arvada Covenant Church. They did what Christianity teaches, and that is to care for others. They have a clear idea, at least in this context, they have a clear idea of what their why was. Yay. I ask you, what is our why? What is our why? Traditional mission of Christianity draws from these several passages and others, but these are from the Old Testament. From Isaiah 58:7, is it not to share your food with the hungry and to provide the poor wanderer with shelter? When you see the naked, to clothe them, and not to turn away from your own flesh and blood. And in Proverbs 31, verses 8 and 9, speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly. Defend the rights of the poor and needy. And in Proverbs 29:7, The righteous care about justice for the poor, but the wicked have no such concern. So these are principles of Christianity, but these are also principles of Hinduism. These are principles of Buddhism. These are principles of virtually every major tradition on the planet. As Jimmy Carter says, we cannot consider ourselves a Christian nation unless, as a nation, we look out for those who do not have their proper clothing, do not have sustenance, do not have wherewithal to make it in the world. And so the question that I have for you is, what can we as a community do? And the fundamental question is, why are we here? Certainly the unity teachings are wonderful, and it's nice to be exposed to that. And our community is, we have loving community, and we have literally hundreds of relationships just in the people that are here. Hundreds of relationships that you have with each other. And those are wonderful reasons to be here. But there is a deeper why. There is a more expansive why. There is a why that is not dependent upon, it's not dependent upon relationships per se, but there is a why that will drive us into a greater realization of our purpose, of our contribution to the greater, to the whole, to the needy. In our community council a couple of weeks ago, I mentioned the immigrant problem, the wave of immigrants that are going from the Middle East into Europe. And there has been a commitment to bring some of those immigrants here. And it was pointed out, well, we don't need to go that far. We have those who are in need. We have those who need shelter. We have those who need clothes and food. We have them here. We don't have to go outside our borders. We may choose to do that, but we may also choose to do things here. So the question is, what do we want to do? We believe that there is one power and one presence is always good. That we believe that in each and every one of us, the spark of the divine is ready to shine through as soon as we choose to let it. And we also believe that the things that we hold in mind manifest in our experience. So what are we going to hold in mind? What is it that we want to do here and now? And you know why I'm getting the microphone out. Because I want to hear from you. I want you to share your ideas. What is it that is a passion for you that you think might be a passion for our community? And I'm getting enough cord to reach even the back row. So even you in the back row are not safe from this.
I feel someone good to speak now first. So, what is my passion? Children. Children are our future. Children are important. If we can spread the good words and the good feelings we have to our children, they will impact the world. And we have a wonderful youth ed team who commits a Sunday a month or two to the kids. And I know that every time a child comes into this space, they are welcomed by you. I see it in your eyes, and I think our parents feel it. And coming out of the Jeffco Schools system district as a teacher, I know that in this part of our some of them are being met by people like us. And we have had initiatives in the past in this group to meet those needs. I think we can still do it, but I can't be the only one. And if you want to help me meet the needs of the kids of this community, that's one way that this community can make a difference. But I know that we have a lot of talents, and I don't want to enforce my passion on all of you. But I'm here as youth ed director, and I'm here as a former teacher and a tutor, and I just wanted to let you know how I felt.
Well, and my daughter is going into her student teaching this next semester, and one of the things that she has been, shall I say, impressed by, not necessarily positively impressed, but impressed by, is that teachers will pay out of their own pocket for supplies. They will pay out of their own pocket for notebooks, for backpacks, to help children in their classes to be more present in the instruction. So that's thank you. What else? Who else? Doreen. Yes, you're going to need to use the microphone. Thank you.
You know, I had done a little research, but speaking of girls, there's a big need for Girl Scout leaders, places for Girl Scouts to meet, even if someone didn't want to take on the commitment, because it's a long commitment. Even if we didn't want to take on a lengthy commitment, I think they're talking 5 years for a troop. But if we didn't want to, we could still provide a place for them to have their big meetings and stuff like that. Because I had talked to the Girl Scout volunteer coordinator, and she said even if we didn't want to be a leader, that we could, you know, sponsor or allow some of their big organizations. And that would bring in, it brings in the children, but then it brings in the parents, and then they can see this environment, and maybe they can be, you know, want to come here on Sundays. The other thing I looked at was, because I love to walk and stuff like that, is adopt a park. We can adopt a trail, and that way we can have our name on the trail. There is one available right now. I guess kind of competitive towards the first of the year, but there was one a couple of weeks ago where you could have your name on that. There's also the senior. I had looked at, I don't have my list right handy, but there's Senior Hub in Westminster and that area, but I think that there's also a resource center over here in the Jefferson area for helping seniors with their cleaning up their yards and building ramps and stuff like that, where you can. But I think our focus mainly should be with children too, because I think you need to bring in children. And I had talked to Pam about an idea that I had too, which I'm going to get more training for that, so we'll talk about that later.
Thank you, Doreen. Okay. I will say we have our name on 59th Street from including this area here all the way to Carr, and on the bike trail from Wadsworth Bypass all the way to Carr. So if we are interested in following through with that, and it will take once a quarter just making a pass. We had set that up for the older youth ed, and the older youth ed, they moved away. So we still have that cleanup opportunity. Right. Yeah. But we are still labeled on those sections. Okay.
Saturday better for most? Yeah, Sunday after church. Saturday, raise your hand. Okay, Sunday after church, raise your hand.
Okay, I'll set up a Saturday in October,
Okay, thank you.
2 weeks or so.
I am also on this path of helping the children, inspired by many people, including Michael Jackson. Would anybody like to visit a hospital? I don't know why I'm getting sad, but all right. Would anybody? I work starting mostly at 1:30, so I have mornings. Would any? You can think about it, but twice a month maybe we could go visit a children's hospital.
And tell us more about what that experience would be like. What would you envision?
Well, we could create it. It could, you could. I mean, most people think of bringing something, but I think just being visited. I mean, I like songs. I know 1,000 folk songs. I don't know. I don't know if they could sing or not sing. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the visit would entail. I'll co-create it with someone who wants to go visit a children's hospital.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So see Liba. Thank you, Liba. Anything else? Yes. Hang on. Hang on. Hang on. Hang on. Yeah. Nah. This is for our internet audience.
Oh, okay. I was saying about Children's Hospital, I have a granddaughter who was in Children's Hospital for 10 months. And what people did that came is Haven, Ashley had to work. She was a hospice nurse, and Haven needed to be held and things like that. And people would come, and they would sit in the rocking chair in the room and rock Haven and hold her. And another group of people came, and they had little square canvases with a little pitcher holder thing, where the pitcher will stay up. And they took her foot and dipped it in pink ink and then put it against the canvas, and it made a little flower, and they were free. And I got one and Ashley got one, but there's a lot of things that you can do at Children's Hospital, and the babies need it. There's a lot of babies that need to be held and loved and stuff like that. So I was just adding to that.
So it sounds like contacting Children's Hospital and just finding out what their needs are, and then we can respond to those.
Just FYI, I have a meeting tomorrow morning with a representative from Jefferson County Human Services to explore different projects that they have going on and where there might be a need. I also have feelers out to Family Tree, and I think the Monday after your first lesson on our why, in the Arvada Press, there was an article about a community called Hope House, which is located here in Arvada, and they provide support for teenage parents. And they're in the process of expanding that program. And so, if we talk about children, teenage moms and dads are still children, basically, plus they have younger children that they're responsible for. But it's a good example of ask and you shall receive. This article just showed up. So I'm interested in talking to the person about that and haven't been able to set it up yet. So that's just some things that are going on right now. And I'm not going to commit us to anything. What I'm doing is getting ideas so I can bring it back to you all. And we can maybe decide where we want to focus our time.
And Doreen and Ginger and Jim had signed up during that community council to comprise a team for this. So thank you all. I would like to offer that Paul gave us, he augmented this Old Testament scripture in 1 Corinthians. He said, If I speak in the tongues of mortals and of angels, but do not have love, I am a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. And if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give away all my possessions, and if I hand over my body so that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. I encourage you as you consider our why to not be responding to fear, but to be responding through love. And those are not those are mutually exclusive. So as we consider the projects that are going to be our why, yes, projects are doing this, but they're based upon our why. And as we consider that, let us consider our whys from love, not fear. What can we do to be an expression of love? Think about that. We have the opportunity to lift ourselves up, to move into another realm of being as a community when we identify our why. We'll have our meditation. As we come into our meditation, let us come in with I cast all my cares. As we settle into this brief moment, let us allow ourselves to rest in the love of God. Allow that love of God to move through us unconditionally, expressing in this moment. Allow that love of God to open us to the possibilities. And answer our question individually. What is my why? What are my passions? What are my beliefs? What is my why? Why am I walking this planet, occupying this skin? Why am I in the relationships I'm in? Why am I in the conditions I'm in? Not for blame, but for purpose. Why? Embracing that question in love, allowing that question to brew, to bubble up, and to honor the response that I get. With that, I give thanks. And as we come back in this time and space, let us come back sharing the words of the Lord's Prayer.